You know, I talk about Clifton Forge where I grew up. It's in Southwest Virginia, a little mountain town. I talk about that when I do these chronicles from time to time, and it's not always in the best light. But it's really a place that is near and dear to my heart, and a place that really shaped who I am. You know, that's where I learned to mow a lawn. That's where I learned so many things, that just life skills that you have to have. But I also had a paper route while I was a kid. And the way, I won't tell how I got the paper route, because that's not the most wholesome part. But I will say that the person I got it from was a relative who had to go to jail. So, but I would pick up the papers. I would get off the school bus, walk a block, my grandmother's house. The fellow would deliver my papers there. He had 3 fingers on one hand. His name was Herb. He would drop a stack of papers. I'd roll my papers, and then I would deliver it to the town of Clifton Forge. Not all of Clifton Forge, but I had a couple neighborhood blocks, you know, maybe 6 or 8. And then I delivered to all of downtown. And if you go to Clifton Forge today, it's a bunch of empty buildings. But if I walked that street with you, I could tell you, here was Standard Printing. They had a printing press. And on the corner was the taxi cab. And I would go in the back door, and it would be dark as hell and smoke filled. But this old woman was in there, and she ran it, and she ruled. And she would, you know, pay me for the paper. I'd go in her back door and out her front door and into the cleaners. And then from the cleaners, I would go into like a little antique shop and then across the street and drop off Michelle, which was a French restaurant. I'd go up a few blocks, drop one off, a few doors. I'd drop a paper at the hardware store. There was Tingler's Jewelers, which is this old guy, Pete Tingler, who I delivered a paper to up until he died. He was a great old dude just to shoot shit with. Next to him was Zimmerman's, which was a men's clothing store. Go across and up one, and they had a Leggett's in that town, which eventually became Belk. You probably know it as Belk. But there was a Leggett's. I delivered a Leggett's. Next to that was this guy Hummer, who was a friend of old man's, and he was a cobbler. He sold shoes, and so I would deliver to him. From there, I would go to a pharmacy, and then 2 doors up, another pharmacy. They're big competition. I would go to the clerk of courts and deliver to her, and then to the city manager. And the last one was this place called Roxy's. It was an antique store, and this old dude, he's actually been on No Lodges Bullshit before. But he was a New York guy who had retired. And yeah, he came down, and he just had all these great stories from New York. And I would finish my route, you know, and he sold antiques, but he sold baseball cards and shit like that too. And I would go in there and just every day, you know, just shoot the shit with him, get some words of wisdom, maybe buy a pack of baseball cards or 2, or if I had no bread, maybe he'd pay me with baseball cards for that week or whatever. But, you know, I still have some of those relationships to this day, and having that responsibility and seeing those people 6 days a week did a lot for me. I feel like it did a lot for me as far as building character and helping me become responsible.